rented out this room called B340. It's bottom of the ship. The Queen Mary allegedly had closed this room off for 30 years. Didn't let anybody stay in it because of weird deaths, people taking their own life, all those crazy things. And then they reopened it randomly, and we got someone sent it over, and they're like, dude, they reopened this after 30 years because it's so haunted. I know you guys do exploring videos, but you guys should try it out. So the first week it opened, we went in. All night we're trying things. We're trying to like hear stuff. We're genuinely like really interested because we didn't do too many haunted videos, and we didn't really believe. So we're like, well, let's actually figure this out. Nothing happened. And this is probably 8 hours of just waiting around, trying to get something to happen. And then we decided, okay, well, I guess it didn't work. So we turned off our cameras. We were about to leave. And then one of our roommates was like, okay, how about we just try off camera just by ourselves? I know it's like 4 a.m., but like, let's just try. And when we turned off our cameras and sat there and really, really focused, that's when we started hearing everything. Like, we just sat there, we're like, all right, give us a sign. Like, this is our last shot. Cameras are off, whatever. This is purely just for our own intention. Water faucet, full on, turns on, like 15 feet away. We jump up, run over to the bathroom to go see it, and it's still dripping wet, and we're like, what? That was like a crazy sign.
That was before we even asked, actually. So it's like we were packing up all of our bags. We were just like, all right, this place isn't haunted. It's like 3 a.m. And like, as soon as we turn off the camera and just like, we're about to walk in the hallway, that's when the water faucet turned on. Yeah. And so like, we turned it on immediately, and we were just like, what? And you could see like everybody's basically like in tears, and you can see the water still dripping. And that's like what prompted us to be like, okay, wait, this only happened off camera. Let's turn off the camera and then ask like questions in a very serious setting.
Yeah. And then it started getting really real. Like, people can probably say water faucet and old ship, maybe it turns on. That's fine.
Sure.
But then we started asking specific signs, and we got this knocking to happen. And so when we would ask, like, hey, can you give us a sign? Immediately after, every single time, we'd hear knock. And it would happen beneath our feet, on the ceiling, outside, on a window, right next to us, wherever. It was all over the place. But then we decided to just have a conversation with this thing. And for 35 minutes, the 5 of us sat alone and asked questions and got a response every single time to every single type of question. And we'd try to trick it. We'd ask, is there one of you? No. Okay. Is there multiple of you? Yes. And we get like confirming answers multiple times over a 35-minute course, with every single question we ever asked getting an answer. Yeah. One knock being yes, multiple knocks being no. So it was a
Do you
really
think there's
weird experience.
any chance that someone is in a nearby room, or 2 people just kind of messing with you? Do you think that's a possibility?
We were so skeptical that, and keep in mind, this is like 3:30, 4 a.m. that we,
Right.
And again, it was like a 45-minute conversation, something like that.
At least, yeah.
I don't know, something
Maybe,
like that.
Yeah, 35 to 45, yeah.
Something like that. But it was the thing that like freaked us out the most is it was everywhere. So it's like, if there was somebody,
There would have to be like at
hiding
least 10 to 15 people
all around the
all
room,
different
just like
things.
knocking.
Yeah.
But like,
And we decided to like, okay, let's talk under our breath. So we would like be lower than a whisper and ask questions, and then the knocks would still happen, loud as can be. And there was one time when we were like, do you want us, like, this is our last question. This is our last question, unless you want us to stay. And the entire ground shook. It was like boom. It was like huge.
Yeah.
It was almost like a massive bookcase or something fell over, and you can really hear us like on camera, like, which was cool because we didn't know we were being filmed or anything like that. But one of our roommates recorded this audio, and so we have the audio of the conversation and every single knock recorded, and so you can like watch it back of our entire experience.
You would think, how did a ghost would know hypothetically that like if something's recording or something
Right.
not?
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, it's hard to say, but
Yeah.
like obviously we didn't have the camera at this point.
Right.
We were just like Sam and I and one of our other roommates thought we were just solely doing this like off camera, like in the dark or whatever.
Yeah.
But one of our friends just like slowly grabbed his phone and just like audio recorded.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if like the ghost didn't see that or whatever, but we got everything.
So did this turn you into a believer? Because I know you've always been a little bit more of a believer than Sam has.
Definitely. Yeah.
So this convinced you.
Yeah, no, I was convinced, especially because towards the end, our roommates were like asking more like spiritual or like semi-religious questions, and like it got into questions about like heaven and hell. And I remember a specific question one of our roommates asked was like, "Is hell real or is heaven real?" And it said no. And then we immediately ran away, and everybody was just like, "Oh, that was like a demon we were talking to." Like they were trying to like steer us away from God. And so for me, I've always been Christian, like born and raised Christian. And so like that was just kind of a solidifier.
And what did it do for you?
That completely changed my life. Yeah, I had not believed in anything before that. I wasn't religious at all. I was open to the idea. I wanted it to be real more than anything. But I never really had anything to convince me otherwise. And so after that, there's literally a video of me like fully breaking down on camera, like on my bedroom floor, being like, I've never believed in anything, and this truly convinced me. I had my family come out, and I talked to them all about this experience, how much it changed my life, everything. And that's honestly what really got me into wanting to do this paranormal stuff, just because that was probably, even though it was kind of negative, the things that we were hearing from this thing, whatever we're talking to, it gave me more of a sense of hope than I ever had before, because I never really believed in anything. And so this whole journey, this whole process of us doing paranormal ghost hunting, of course, great for business. It's really, really cool with the videos. But I think people can tell that we're genuinely interested in this, because of how much it affected me and you, and just our religious beliefs. Like, we want this to be real more than anything. So like,
Why do you want it to be real?
Because I don't want to believe that when we die, it's black. Because that is not very hopeful. And so when I hear these things or see these things that make me believe that there might be something more, it gives me hope.
But isn't that kind of what religion is, just in a sense?
Yeah, I am unable to just take the words of a book and say that that is real. I'm like, everyone else
You need
is
some
too.
form of proof.
Yeah.
I need proof, and I want proof. And I know that's so
Some people are like
sad.
that, yeah.
It's never perfect proof. That's the thing that just is really hard for me to like accept, you know, with all of this information. It's never something that you can visually see, you know what I mean? Or it's like a voice. It's always knocks, or it's always like a curtain moving, or a faucet turning on, or a door shutting, or something like that.
Well, how do you explain some of these things where they test for people who can, they're in the hospital room and they're being operated on, and then they could repeat back to the doctor exactly what they did.
Yeah.
Or they've listened to the doctor and they heard certain things and they saw what they were doing, even though this person was like dead. Or I've also heard stories of kids being spoken to and can recall past life experiences in such vivid detail, and these kids never would have experienced
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Or so, there's one kid I think who knew a language that like didn't exist for like 1,000 years and could speak it fluently. And it took like some doctor at some college to uncover like, wait, he's speaking this language. That just, there's no textbook out there that really goes into this.
Right.
So like some of these things I feel like are pretty definitive, not 100%, but like really out there.
I think humans naturally have some desire to be spiritual or to believe in spirits in some capacity. And I think it's the same justification for religion, which I think has been the best justification I've ever heard in my entire life. And I've explained this to you before, but it's, if God were to just present himself and stop all of these catastrophes from happening, let's say like a war, or like a kid getting, you know, I don't know,
Something
injured
happened,
or something
yeah,
like
sure.
that. Like if a God just came in and stopped that every single time, then it would show that God is real, and it wouldn't
Right.
be faith anymore. It would just be a matter of fact. It would just be what is. But I think that there needs to be this component of faith and spirituality in every single human. I think it's just a part of existence, is to believe in something that's supernatural, something that's meta and not like physically real. In the same way that if these spirits were to just show up and be like, oh, by the way, we're just here. How's it going? Nice to see you. Like, you know, I died 100 years ago, but I'm just saying hello. Like, it would not be faith anymore.
For sure.
It would just be a matter of fact.
No, you hit that like right on the nose. I feel like if we all had the answers, then like we'd be like, well, why are we here?
I was going to say, we talked about this a lot recently. We had a very, very intense experience this year as well that talked a lot about these concepts. But I think if you have proof, then our human life doesn't matter anymore. But if you only have faith, if you only are believing, then that doubt forces you to act a certain way. But if you know 1000% you're going to heaven no matter what.
And it's perfect. There's no pain.
What's the point? Why don't you, I don't know.
That's a good
Why
point.
don't
You
you
could just
commit
jump
the
in front of
crime
a
or-
boss or something like that,
Yeah.
and it's like, hey, start over again.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But having that faith or having that 1% doubt that faith really is makes you be like, well, I don't want to, because what if it is all black?
Yeah.
Because that fear of the blackness and the fear that this is your one shot makes you value your time as a human so much more.